Hey guys, what's up? This is me, Zero Kills. Uh, Today is going to be a bit different, I guess. I mean, it's been a while since I last uploaded a guide or so. So, I guess I'll make one. And this is about one of the new play styles I have, so to speak, with a very old hero. I think in season 1 or season 2, he was already there. And obviously, it's going to be Alucard. So, before the recent changes to like everything regarding Alucard and all the items, he was kind of weak because one of his biggest problems was, of course, he was always built primarily for damage, but he could get shut down really easily if he just, got into engage. But anyway, this is kind of like the safest start you can have. And for the summoner spell or the hero spell that I used, I think it was the one that boosted attack speed. Because if you look at the how me and Karina jungled for like the first few minutes of the game, um, I used my second skill first because it has a 5 second cooldown instead of the first one, which is a 10 second cooldown. So use level up your no, not level up, like pick your second skill first if you're going to clear a wave, and but use first skill if you're thinking of maybe just um, invading somebody's camp, because it has a slow, of course, and it's pretty much your gap closer. So these first few minutes of the game, you'll just notice that me and the Karina, my ally Karina, I mean, we're just trying to steal experience from the enemy as much as possible, whether by um, clearing their creeps, their jungle monsters, or also making it harder for them to farm in the first place by harassing them when we can. And the first item that you want to complete with Alucard is, of course, still the same. It's going to be the Tooth of Greed, or the Haas Gauntlets, or whatever it's called now, because it gives you damage and lifesteal. And so you'll notice here that I kind of take my time when I was trying to like get the last hit on that enemy Karina. Oh, for here's one thing that I have to tell you. I'm not sure if this has been with Alucard for a pretty long time, or it's something that I just discovered recently. So if you kind of look at that, like if you slow it down, you can slow it down on the YouTube video anyway. Like when I do my second skill, you'll notice that if Alucard is in melee range when he does it, he actually attacks twice. Like, see, it all happens so fast, but that's kind of why and how Alucard actually does a lot of damage, even though the base damages of his skills are actually low. Like if you look at um, the tooltips, they only do around 200 each. So I'm still waiting for the getting my tooth up, of course. Um, if you think Alucard's laning phase is boring, well, the fact is that's pretty true, because that that second skill bug or combo with the auto attack resets actually allows Alucard to farm or clear waves really fast, like even faster than Fanny if you do your clears right in your combos. I mean, see, if you notice that with the cannon minion, I auto attack and then I spin, and then right after I spin, since I was in melee range, my auto attack again came out really fast. But it doesn't happen with the first skill though. Like you'll notice, even if you, for some reason, I've experienced a lot of times where even if I use the first skill and it lands right on top of the enemy, I only get to attack once. But if you do the second skill and you're in melee range, you'll notice that Alucard gets a lot more attacks than normal. So that's kind of why you don't really um, get a lot of attack speed early. Oh, Alucard, I mean, because it doesn't really matter anyway. Like if you do your combos and then your second skill, the next auto is gonna be up really really fast. So it's kind of like Freya in the sense that it's kind of a waste to get attack speed on Freya early. So I finally have Tooth of Greed, and I'm working my way towards oops, I'm working my way towards setting up myself for a bloodlust axe. Actually, you could go for magic shoes at this point if you want, because how I build Alucard is maxing his cooldown reduction actually with a mix of offensive items, of course. It used to be that getting cooldown reduction after the Hunter Strike nerf and Dominance Ice nerfs was a bit hard to get, but now with Bloodlust Axe and well, just Bloodlust Axe actually by itself, it makes getting cooldown reduction on Alucard really strong. So of course, you'll notice that new summoner spell. I'm not sure like what it's called. Um, the one that increases your attack speed and armor penetration by 25 for the next 8 attacks in 5 seconds is actually pretty strong on Alucard. Because remember when I was telling you that you don't really buy attack speed on Alucard early game? Well, that insight or whatever that summoner spell is called, the one that increases attack speed, is actually very very efficient on Alucard, or at least how I use Alucard. Because like I said, I have no attack speed on him at this point in the game. And then, so it's just basically rinse and repeat. Like, that's just what you do with Alucard. You wait until your combo is up, especially the second skill, and then you go in. And this is pretty funny because, watch, I get the Alucard really low, and this is another tip that I would like to share. Of course, I'll be thinking he'll probably teleport in a bit. So you'll notice I use my ultimate there, and then I just surprise the enemy Clint by casting the second part of the ultimate against him. Of course, if you were like a normal player and you were paying attention to what was happening in the map, you would of course expect the normal Alucards to just jungle and not go for the kill. But as I've said, Alucard is pretty strong in this current meta because even though um, he's weak in terms of like gold efficiency, because you really have to have a lot of items for him to be relevant in the game. Um, he actually farms very, very surprisingly fast, and that's because he doesn't have any delays that much on his skills, except for the ultimate, of course, and also by the fact that again his second skill, if you do it up close, it always gives him another auto attack to work on. And if you have 40% CDR, that pretty much means you will be using your second skill a lot more than usual, and your ultimate will always be back up. Also, one pretty interesting thing to note, if you have Bloodlust Axe on, of course it means all your skills do damage. So I kind of do as much damage as I can, right? And then I move out because I'm really getting low. And instead of just backing, I spend a few seconds with these creeps, of course, and watch. My health just got back up from like close to death to pretty much viable for another fight. And even though I can go ham here, I just try to use the bushes as much as possible because I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. Like, watch here, see? If one of them did not have their ultimates up, I would have lived. But since you have to build Alucard with damage as much as possible to be like very efficient, of course, because that's where he's most useful to the team is when he build damage instead of like a hybrid off tank setup. But yeah, like I said, one of Alucard's biggest weaknesses is he has to get in at the cost of course his own safety. And if you don't build him tanky enough, he dies. In this case, I have no tank items at all. There's an alternative item build that I would suggest, of course, if you're at this point in time and you guys really don't have a tank, and that's Wings of the Demon Apocalypse. Even though I don't get it for Alucard this game, it's one of those things that I would highly recommend, regardless if you're going offensive or defensive, because it really synergizes with his passive and playstyle very well. So you like watch how my life goes from 100 to 60, and then back to like 100, and then back to 80%, because of so much life steal from, of course, the Tooth of Greed or the Ha's gauntlets, greaves, or whatever. I don't know what it's called, and the bloodlust axe as well. Oh, and one thing that I would like to note is his second skill auto attack reset, if you can call it that, doesn't work on turrets, by the way. So again, second skill reset gives you a heck of a lot of damage in such a short amount of time. The best way to do that, of course, is just basically auto second skill, and then you get another auto up. But it doesn't happen if your enemy moves away after you use a spin. So for some reason, I'm not sure if the Estes was aware that I kind of flanked him. And I'm pretty much way too ahead in gold at this point. And if you're kind of lazy doing Lord, remember you can just save your first skill to evade the AoE stun. Because normally you would simply move out of the way, of course, but if you're lazy like me, you can just use your first skill. Doesn't matter. And pretty much, yeah, the enemy just concedes right there. Then normally in this build, since I'm way too ahead, I would have opted for the Berserker's Fury, I think. The one that replaced Blade of Destruction. And also the Blade of Despair. So if you see it correctly enough, it's pretty much all I did was farm the lanes and go to the jungle at times, and then use my summoner spell when it's up, and I think I can get a kill on another opponent. There's nothing much that I can say pretty much for Alucard except that he's actually pretty good right now. But the only reason why I was able to like get a good score is I used one of Alucard's biggest advantages. Actually, the only reason why he's still in the meta right now, and that's because he farms so fast. Because if this were the other way around, and I only had like 7k gold or 6k at least or something like that, we probably would have had a very difficult time. Because Alucard's biggest weakness is he doesn't really do well if he's going even in terms of gold. So you really have to be very creative with how you do your trades or your harass or how you do your farm, and make sure that you're like 1 or 2,000 gold ahead, because you really need that gold lead to be decent with Alucard. But hey, Alucard has the tools to get that gold, so get out there and do it. I hope you enjoy that replay, commentary guide or whatever, and I'll see you guys next time.